For 2 decades, the kingdom of Ithaca has been slowly consumed from within. Arrogant suitors have occupied the royal palace, bleeding its wealth dry while effectively holding Queen Penelope and her son, Telemachus, captive in their own home. Athena's warning hinges on a harsh numerical reality. A frontal assault against dozens of armed men carries a near-zero survival rate, whereas a single point of infiltration preserves the advantage of surprise. To execute this, Odysseus sheds his legendary status. He transforms himself into a weathered, limping beggar, successfully masking his powerful frame beneath layers of rags and apparent frailty. He issues a strict command to his son, Telemachus. Secrecy must be absolute. Not a single person, not even Penelope, can know the king has returned, placing an immense psychological burden on the young prince. The infiltration moves the battlefield inside the mind. The very first test of that restraint happens at his own front gates. As Odysseus arrives, his ancient, flea-ridden dog Argos catches his master's scent and lifts his head. The disguised king walks past his loyal, dying dog. He forces down deep grief, hiding all emotion behind a hardened face. Behind him, having finally fulfilled his life's purpose by witnessing his master's return after 20 years, faithful Argos closes his eyes and peacefully passes away. Inside the palace doors, the emotional test shifts to a physical gauntlet. The suitor Antinous openly mocks the disguised king, hurling a stool when he simply asks for food. Odysseus absorbs every physical blow and insult in total silence. He suppresses his warrior rage to keep his fragile cover intact. This branching logic tree shows how Odysseus uses that abuse. By quietly observing the room, he mentally categorizes every palace inhabitant into 2 distinct groups: loyal assets who defend him, and compromised threats actively siding with the suitors. Enduring this humiliation provides a clear operational advantage. By remaining a silent observer, Odysseus gathers the unfiltered intelligence required to decide who survives the coming night and who does not. The psychological pressure peaks during a private meeting with Queen Penelope. Unaware she is speaking to her husband, she draws comfort from the oddly familiar presence of the humble beggar in her halls. Odysseus remains a silent observer to his own wife's grief. He listens as she weeps for his loss, choosing to withhold his identity to ensure the survival of his mission. Exhausted by the relentless pressure to remarry, Penelope reaches her breaking point. She announces a final, seemingly impossible contest to end the occupation and select a new husband. This geometric overlay illustrates the precise physical mechanics of her challenge. A challenger must generate immense tensile strength just to string the bow, and then release an arrow on a perfectly linear trajectory through 12 narrowly aligned axe handles. Confident in their own strength, the suitors eagerly agree to the challenge. They step directly into a carefully orchestrated trap without a second thought. Their confidence rapidly collapses. One by one, the younger men strain, sweat, and fail to bend the massive weapon even a fraction of an inch, suffering public embarrassment in front of the court. The brute physical force the suitors relied on to occupy the palace is exactly what exposes their impotence. Against a weapon designed for a king, sheer muscle is useless. Mocking laughter erupts across the hall when the aging beggar quietly requests a turn. The suitors are insulted that a lowly wanderer would attempt a feat that defeated them all. But Telemachus steps forward, wielding a newfound, commanding authority. He silences the suitors' protests and insists the beggar be handed the weapon. A dangerous stillness settles over the feasting hall as the weathered beggar finally takes the massive weapon into his hands. Hushed awe. Horrified silence falls over the room. With practiced ease, the beggar strings the bow and releases a single arrow that flies cleanly and precisely through all 12 aligned axe handles. Pacing quickens, highly energetic. Decades of built-up tension release as Odysseus forcefully tears away his beggar's rags, throwing the tattered cloth to the stone floor. He stands tall and fierce, finally revealing his true identity as the rightful ruler of Ithaca. In a parallel action, Telemachus secures every other weapon in the hall and slams the heavy doors shut, trapping the suitors inside and leaving them entirely defenseless. The fall of the suitors demonstrates the utility of restraint. Odysseus reclaimed his kingdom by prioritizing observation and timing over immediate aggression, proving that a calculated delay can be more lethal than a direct assault.